URA is hosting the National Post-Budget Dialogues across the country. In Hoima district, taxpayers have come through to discuss issues in regards to tax amendments and embrace the call from URA to enhance their business growth through corresponding to taxation.
This is an event that we undertake on an annual basis in different regions, so we expect that it will continue happening, especially if budget allows, because it is our duty as URA and as government to ensure that the tax-paying community is aware of the latest developments. That is the only way they can comply, and when there is compliance, that is the only way we can get the taxes. This particular one is very critical because the amendments are aimed at widening the tax base as well as fostering compliance among the taxpaying community.
During the dialogue, it was noted that motor third party is severely affected by several vehicle transfers. Innocent Bigira Mbabazi from the Domestic Tax Department at URA advises what should be done.
So what is validation? Validation is bringing vehicles from the old manual system to the electronic vehicle register. That system action is free and is done online by logging into the TIN of the registered motor vehicle owner. Now, what we have seen over time is that many people who bought those vehicles that had the green cards or green logbooks never actually transferred. They got the vehicle, got the transfer forms, but never submitted it for transfer. Subsequently, they also sold the same vehicle to third parties who also sold, and so the sales continued and continued and continued. Fast forward, someone has the vehicle but cannot trace the original owner. So that kind of transaction has likely affected the transactions involved, and people are now failing to pay third party because it has also been brought onto the electronic system. So what do we advise? We advise people who have such kind of vehicles to come to your for assistance on how to undertake the validation process. However, where you cannot find the original owner of the vehicle to help you with the validation, we encourage you to use the court process of initiating a transfer using the court process, which of course will require you to advertise in court, will require you to use lawyers if you're not a lawyer and don't know how to go about it, but it also require payment of some fees. Unlike the other one, which is totally free, this one means you have to advertise in newspapers, you have to pay the courts and all that. So this one is not free and it takes some time, but we encourage you to follow that process so that the vehicle is brought into the operation of the electronic vehicle registration system. And therefore, after you've done that, you can be able to pay your motor third party.
Failing tax returns is one of the ways URA is able to track and collect tax. Ugandans are reminded to comply with it.
Filing means declaring your transactions for the period in question and showing what you did and how much tax there is to pay or even be refunded. Many people are not aware that we have something called a refund. So you have overpaid tax, we have a refund. So what can you do to do it very well, to do it effectively? The very first thing is record keeping. Keep transactions of your record from the beginning to the end, because they're the ones you're going to use. Document very well what have you purchased, what have you sold, how much is what, and then you use that at the end of the return period to file your return. So the most and the best way to file your returns effectively is to do good record keeping. Then two is to keep to know the period when you're supposed to do it. When are you supposed to file which return? So we have several returns. We have pay as you earn return, it is monthly. We have value added tax return, it is monthly. We have withholding tax return, it is monthly. We have local excise duty return, it is monthly. We have income tax return, it is annually. We have provisional returns for income tax, both corporate and individual. The corporate ones are biannually and the individual ones are quarterly. So how can you file them effectively? Let's begin with the monthly ones. Once the month ends, you have 15 days within which to prepare your documents and file your return. Fortunately for the taxpayer, with the introduction of EFRIS, we have also introduced the populated return, the auto-populated return, where if you've been using EFRIS, all your transactions have been captured and therefore can be automatically uploaded onto the system and you just submit. So all you have to do is put what hasn't been captured or verify what is there and you submit. But for returns like pay as you earn, withholding tax, local excise duty that are not yet automatic, you're supposed to keep your records, know how many people, for example, you are paying in payee, how much you are paying, and then you declare those ones at the end of the period, and the tax computed is then remitted to URA. The same goes for withholding tax, the same goes for excise duty, the same goes for the gaming and betting that I've just talked about earlier. So those are some of the ways you can effectively and efficiently make your return declarations.
Hoima is one of the most tax-compliant districts in the country. However, the business community still finds it challenging while integrating URA regulations, especially on EFRIS.
Maybe the change was too sudden because you find many businesses probably still struggling to engage, especially the EFRIS system. It's a good thing, but my thinking would be it would be for the institutions like the manufacturing, and there are these other small businesses which really I think it was too much. The budget was a little too much, especially moving along with having those systems, managing those systems. It comes at a cost, which cost I see has been much. At least with the EFRIS system, if we maybe come up with maybe an assessment will be done, maybe at the beginning of the year, and then we know each of these small businesses we kind of put like a figure. You just say maybe a business of this size should be paying 300 a month. A business of this size should be paying maybe 500, because that assessment can be done. And then the assessment runs for probably a year, and then next year, the beginning of the year, like that. I think it's a better approach than running through the EFRIS, which requires you to keep filing monthly, each sale, each expense. And sometimes some expenses you can't get the EFRIS invoices. For example, someone went and bought maybe, say you buy maybe tomatoes. So now how do you get an EFRIS invoice for that? So some items I really feel you can't easily put them on the EFRIS. Unless maybe if it was a national program, then all the businesses, all of them, not selectively, all of them, if we are all running on the EFRIS system, there it would mean at least every transaction, every business transaction can be got under the EFRIS, because it means even the tomato seller is registered. Yeah.
In terms of tax compliance in this region, we have big taxpayers in this region. We have also small ones, and then we have those that we categorize as medium taxpayers. Also, we have them in this region. Those have ordinarily grown from being small to medium. We also have large taxpayers that have migrated from being medium to large. So there's great compliance among the tax-paying community in this area, and it is also evident. The hall is full, the clients, the taxpayers have responded to our request. So you can clearly see that there's their need for tax information. And as URA, especially through our tax education division, we are taking on that step, and it will happen throughout the whole year. taxpayers must be informed.
Thank you, sir. EFRIS is the electronic physical receipting and invoicing solution. It is a digital system implemented by the Uganda Revenue Authority (URA) to track business transactions and manage value-added tax in real time. With the continued engagements, there is hope for improved integration between URA and taxpayers.
Been an introduction of stamp duty on financial services. So every player in financial services, including money lenders, including credit institutions, banks, circles, all those are now required to declare stamp duty on their transactions, on their financial services. So the definition of financial services has been put forward, and it includes many players, and they're all encouraged to come forward, consult, and know how they are supposed to go about it. Please visit the nearest URA station for guidance.
Thank you. How are these declarations important when it comes to the person who is doing that and also to URA?
Oh, thank you. Now, these declarations are important because they are the basis of the taxation. When you declare, you have made a self-assessment. You have transacted and you are showing that this is what happened in my business during this period. And therefore, this is the tax payable. For URA, that makes a record of your transactions. That is what we base on. And it will inform our future actions, including reviews, including audits, but also including appreciations. So we base on that kind of information to know what you're transacting, to know how to advise your business, to know how to categorize it, and all other work that we do. But it also helps the taxpayer to determine their tax liability, know when to pay it, how to pay it, and how much. So it's very important to declare.